Unique challenges require unique solutions. Amidst a global pandemic, social distancing has become the new normal. So now, more than ever, people need entertainment. They crave competition. However, even professional sports have been suspended until further notice. Most of them, anyway.
It's just human nature to want to compete and be the best of the best. Now, unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic put a little bit of a wrench in the works there, so we were forced to move to the online format.
225 miles apart live two teams. One in Dallas, another in Houston. Each claiming to be superior to the other, and more importantly, eager to prove it.
Taking down the battle for Texas in the midst.
These two teams will battle it out multiple times over the course of 1 month in order to prove their dominance. Their rosters are made up of some of the greatest players their sport has to offer, players from all around the globe, from New York to California and Asia to Australia. Yet now, they all call Texas home. Even during the global health crisis, these two teams are competing at the highest level that the world has to offer, in esports. Professional video gaming. Two rivals from Dallas and Houston, playing a game called Overwatch. Two teams of 6 players face off in a series of battles, requiring incredible team chemistry and strategy in order to emerge victorious. Regardless of your familiarity with Overwatch, this truly is a tale as old as time. One old-fashioned rivalry between two cities, two teams. The Dallas Fuel versus the Houston Outlaws.
I think that regional rivalries have this built-in need to want to support your hometown team. Putting these esports teams in cities gives people in these locations who before may not have had any interest in esports, suddenly they have a team.
Over the next 3 weeks, we'll gain a behind-the-scenes view into the lives of these esports professionals as they prepare to compete against each other in order to set the record straight. In an era when it seems all certainty in the world has been lost, one constant drives the Dallas Fuel and the Houston Outlaws. Both are determined to prove themselves as the best Overwatch team in Texas. Only one can be crowned the victors of the 2020 Lone Star Challenge.
All right, now listen, the crowd out there is ours. There's some Outlaws fans, but they're very, very outnumbered because when we're on that stage, we dominate. 1, 2, 3, fire! Oh, this thing? Yeah, sorry, gets in the way sometimes. My name is Aaron Atkins. I go by Arrow, and I'm the head coach of the Dallas Fuel. One of my earliest memories in England was my dad building a PC. I was real young, I was watching him build it, and I was playing our Super Nintendo in the background. I was part of a military family. Parents were in the Air Force and in the Army, so we didn't really have a place that we called home. I was born in Colorado. I moved to England. Alaska's where we kind of call home now. After Alaska, we went to Pennsylvania, and then Pennsylvania to Arizona. Went to high school in Arizona, and that's when my parents retired and moved back to Alaska. So, I played football, basketball, everything, but towards the end of my time in Alabama, that's where I got pretty big into the competitive side of esports. I love the idea of esports. Growing up with games and as a competitive person, I got pretty involved in Dota 2. All the competition that was going on and the history and had, commentators and everything, I was blown away. And kind of made me realize hey, this is something I think is really cool, maybe I could do it too. Where I ended up becoming a Dota 2 player. So the team wasn't actually that good, to be honest, but it was a start. And yet I ended up going back home to Alaska. I was doing part-time college, I was working, doing an IT job. When Overwatch got announced, I had BlizzCon up on a screen, and we're looking at it, I was like, Blizzard making a game, 6v6, a fresh esport, this is an opportunity for me. Made it a goal. I'm gonna get out of Alaska. I'm gonna figure out whatever I have to do to get a job so that I can be able to pursue esports, whatever that means. An opportunity came up at my job, so I took it. I went to Arizona by myself. I didn't know anyone. It was a huge risk and it was scary. And I have no family, no friends, no support in Arizona, just to go there completely by myself and to go into debt doing it was a huge risk. I ended up changing my role to a coach. Very few coaches in Overwatch at the time. In fact, most were just analysts. I reached out to a few people that I knew and I just said, hey, do you know of any teams that would be willing to let me sit in on it and just, give some feedback? I'll write up a document at the end, give it to you guys and let you guys, do what you want with it. I had worked for a couple of weeks with a handful of organizations. It wasn't easy, and I ended up coming across FNRGFE. And FNRGFE is really where the history for me in the Battle of Texas actually begins. I was coaching and that roster would eventually become the Houston Outlaws. I was in talks with Outlaws. Very likely I'd be brought on in some kind of fashion, whether it's head coach or assistant coach or whatever. But at the end of the day, Outlaws ended up becoming Outlaws without me. To be honest, I was pretty devastated because I was working so hard and with FNRGFE, I was I was running all their social media, I was coaching, I was running fundraisers to be able to pay for our trips to these tournaments, and at the same time working a full-time job. I mean, it was day and night, it was everything. I ended up trying out for Fusion University. I was with Fusion for a few months. Fusion University had a lot of success and contenders, and we were pretty much the dominant team there. Team NV at the time was by far the most dominant team in the region. Tasmo and Harsha approached me, ultimately knowing the history that NV has, and after talking to Harsha and understanding what he wants from his organization, from his team, it just lined up with everything I wanted. That was the start for me joining Dallas Fuel and being on the other side. And so I still remember the first match with me being on Dallas Fuel versus Houston. And I remember thinking to myself, like, man, I just want to crush these guys on the ground.
The Houston Outlaws getting the win in the series 3-1.
And Houston ended up beating us, walking out of the dugouts and, shaking all their hands and being like, oh, I don't ever want to lose to Houston ever again.
Like, shake it off, just focus on next map. We can totally beat these guys.
I think my favorite thing about the Lone Star Showdown that's coming up here is that it's a battle between the teams, and this is all about bragging rights. What that means is that any upcoming match against Houston, we're going to smoke them. And the past 2 times we've faced them, we've been on top, just want to point that out. Being able to have that trophy and, take pictures with it and send it to Harsha is, what I'm looking forward to most.
I've been into gaming kind of my whole life. My cousin had a Game Boy Color with Pokemon on it, and I played that when I was like 4, I think. During high school, I kind of discovered competitive gaming. I actually played Pokemon competitively and was one of the highest ranked players in that game. And then I started getting into esports like Super Smash Bros. I followed the League of Legends pro scene really actively. I really wanted to actually become a coach in League of Legends, but Overwatch came out around the time I was considering pursuing coaching. I kind of made my choice during my junior year of college. I was spending a lot of time watching Overwatch and spending my time in esports anyways. I was actually pursuing medicine and I wasn't really enjoying that. And both of my parents are actually doctors, so they really wanted me to go into that field as well. They were initially really skeptical, and then I got an offer to join a team in the first season of Overwatch League, and once they saw that, they were still really skeptical, but after reading into it and after I decided to, quit school and kind of join a team, they ended up kind of falling on board and believing that it was a lifestyle that I could pursue and kind of a career path that they thought I could be successful in and that I was really passionate about. In season 1, I was kind of an analyst / assistant coach for the San Francisco Shock, and it was a very new experience for me. I'd never worked with a team offline together in the same housing and the same office and stuff like that. And I think I just learned a lot from that experience. We went through a bunch of different roster iterations, a bunch of different coaching staffs, and I got to learn from a bunch of different experiences. And then in season 2, I worked for the Vancouver Titans, and that was a fully Korean team. So I actually had to adapt a lot, and I started learning Korean, getting accustomed to their culture and learning how their system worked rather than, kind of a more American or Western team. I would say season 1 kind of influenced me the most just because we had a team that was partially Korean, partially European, partially like American players. So everybody has their own kind of like languages and cultures that they come from, but in the end, try to come together and make like a cohesive team with like the same game plan in mind. And that's sort of the same take that we want to have with the Outlaws. Arrow, he was the head coach of Dallas, and he got voted to represent the Team USA team. I'd mostly just interacted with him in passing. We were sort of friends, but I didn't know him too well until Team USA actually. He reached out and let me know that if I wanted to get on board, I could. And it seemed like a really good experience, so I decided to pursue it as well. And the players that actually ended up being on that team were Raucus from Outlaws and then 3 players from San Francisco. So those are all players that I was really familiar with. And I would say it was just a good experience being able to work with players that were A, you know, some of the best in our nation, and then B, like everybody was really hungry to win a title that year. And so it was really exciting to be able to do that on the same team and with like the same goal in mind. Yeah, it definitely wasn't a coincidence that I ended up in Houston. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas actually, about 45 minutes from where we stay now. I was choosing between a few different teams during the off season, and being able to work in my hometown was really enticing. And that's kind of why I made the choice to come back here, actually. You never really want to let a rivalry match go, and especially now that we just lost to Dallas, I don't think we ever want to lose to them again. I would say both us and Dallas are like playing pretty well at this point in time, so with me being on the roster and Arrow being on Dallas's team, it has a little bit of a special meaning for me just because I want to beat him. So we're looking to just kind of take this championship and then run with it. We don't want to ever give it back.
The Houston Outlaws and the Dallas Fuel wish to thank Samsung for presenting the 2020 Lone Star Challenge. Follow us over the next 3 weeks to see who is named the top Overwatch team in Texas.
You know, we're getting ready to get started and just trying to make sure we're all prepped and good to go, so it's going to be an exciting morning.
I mean, I woke up, take a shower, I eat, scrims.
I think that there's going to be some pretty fun 1v1s with the Tracer 1v1s, and if we get to the Widowmaker 1v1s, those ones are my favorite ones. Also the Doomfist 1v1s. And the winners of all these get to choose a map for our 6v6 final showdown there.
Maybe monkey? Or maybe okay. Back up. Just here in my apartment, bought a scrim soon. Should be 2 blocks today, about 4 hours long. Should be a good day. Currently we're competing from home because of the COVID-19 going around, but the situation right now is obviously not great at all, and a lot of people are negatively affected by it. But I think it's an opportunity for esports to like be shown into the spotlight a little bit. My name is William Hernandez, also known by Crimzo. On the Dallas Fuel, I'm a support player. So basically my job is to keep everybody alive during the games and make sure that we are all like healthy and able to fight.
And that Blizzard, but
oh no.
ults to use. Muma though does get slapped and taken down.
Great sleep from Crimzo. Muma can't get away.
I was a pretty energetic kid. I grew up kind of off Call of Duty games, and I eventually, fell in love with like FPS games and stuff like that. So I mean, video games have been part of my whole life basically, and I just genuinely enjoy it so much. Overwatch, at the beginning I was a little nervous. It was the first kind of game that I've ever played, so I wasn't really sure how I played, but originally I played like a damage role, so my job was basically to kill everybody. Eventually I moved more into like the support role, but my playstyle has always been really aggressive. Like I really like to get into people's faces and make them really upset with me. I don't think I could do what I do in any other game but Overwatch. I honestly just fell into it and I'm just so happy, and my biggest regret is not going into it sooner and like doubting myself. Sleeping. I got February 2018, somewhere around there, where I got my first like offer from the team, which that team eventually actually became the academy team for the Dallas Fuel. Semester just finished and I got the offer, so I was like, all right, I'm out, and I just went to go play Overwatch. parents are like, they immigrated from Cuba to Toronto in Canada, and they don't really know anything about technology, to be honest. So they had no idea what I was doing. Imagine like an 18-year-old kid being like, hey mom and dad, I'm going to Poland to play in this tournament. They were so confused, and they were like, what? And I did everything I could to help them understand what it was, and I think they're pretty supportive. They like cheer me on through like text messages after games and stuff like that, so I think they're really supportive. While I was on the academy team of Dallas Fuel, I was in Dallas, and I went to the very first homestand of the Dallas Fuel, so I got to like live the Battle for Texas through the crowd. Dude. The Dallas Fuel crowd was absolutely insane. I knew like how important it was and how big it was, basically. Like knowing that I'm gonna be able to face Houston and be part of it is really, really cool, because I began by just watching it. I always had like a personal grudge against Houston, and they actually declined me and said I wasn't good enough to be on their team, basically. Now I'm on Dallas, now we got a team grudge, and it just coincides with each other. I think that they've always been kind of on the back foot, a little bit sloppy. We'll always be better than them.
My entire life, I played video games. Started with Nintendo 64. I played like GoldenEye. I played Zelda with my sister. The first game that I ever played on like a PC was a game called World of Warcraft. My mom originally played it, and then like a year down the line, I started playing it. And it's kind of funny because the game is actually created by Blizzard, and Blizzard is the creator of Overwatch and the Overwatch League. It's kind of crazy. I grew up playing a Blizzard game, and it's like just really something special. I knew people played video games professionally, but like I wasn't trying to grind for that. But when I realized that I could be a professional in video games was when I started playing Overwatch. I needed a break from my work, so I took like my 2-week like vacation break off. And during that time was also when Overwatch just came out, and I played it for 2 weeks. And in that 2-week period, I got like noticed, and it was kind of like a blessing in disguise, because I didn't also like the job that I did, but at the same time, like I had to work. And then within that 2-week period, I got picked up from the very release of like the game itself. So I got like really lucky in that sense. It was just like a perfect time to do something new, and here I am.
Number 1, Rockets!
I had like a lot of support from my family, grandparents, uncles, aunts, everything, sisters, both of my parents, always supportive of me. My dad was like very into like me being a pro, actually. He didn't really follow video games beforehand, but he was very much trying to learn, like get very into it and stuff like that. Even though he didn't understand a lot of it, because he was still learning, he was like extremely supportive of it and like really wanted me to win. Like he was, the reason why I get most of my competitiveness was honestly because of him. I grew up like competing against him. So like a lot of people don't know this, but my dad was like better at everything that I ever did. Like anything that I did, he was better than me at. You know, like tried super hard to be better than him at something, and like I got something, that was video games. That was what I was better than him at, and like he knew it, and then he was like really supportive of it. So that's where I get my competitiveness from. As you get older, you start losing family members. You just grow apart from them, because like it's just how it is. People move away from each other. I lost my dad 1 month after Overwatch League started. The first time we made playoffs in the Overwatch League, we played against London Spitfire. My dad was watching. He was actually in the hospital because he had like breathing problems. And then 2 days after that, he passed away. It was about a month after Overwatch League started. Once he passed away, I realized like time is like super important, and like you can't change like inevitable things, and people will go eventually. So I make it like a personal responsibility to talk to my mom every day, even if it's only for like 30 seconds. It's good enough for me, and I'll do that every day. I currently live with Blase, Hydration, and Dante, and it's kind of crazy sometimes.
What's up, Kissoon?
We practice so much. Sometimes people like goof off in practice like you shouldn't, but it happens sometimes. But whenever you play against people that you know, like your friends, you can like tell that people are trying way harder. And it's the same mentality when it goes into a match, like people just try way harder against their friends. Even though there's like a rivalry between Fuel, I'm like really good friends with their head coach, Arrow, good friends with like Zachary, Trill, Unco, AKM, like a bunch of their players. It doesn't stop me from, you know, trash talking them when we're about to play them, because, you know, I have the better record than them. I'm 4-1 against them, and I'm gonna, you know, keep from that in their face if they want to try to talk. They can try to talk about the most recent loss, doesn't really matter. You know, I got more wins against them than they got against me, and that's like kind of the rivalry I have in my head. I'm gonna make sure they know that like we're the better team. We're gonna win all 3 games, like 100%.
Dante Cruz.
What?
Why is this?
Oh! Hey, Pizza Head.
Pizza headset. Bread headset.
Wait, really? You have a rap
room.
Yours?
Look, it's a rap.
Wow, people are so funny.
So many teams just play
Windy.
Yeah,
Just copy New York or
because
Shanghai.
Shanghai use this com, you use this com,
Yeah.
they just follow.
Yeah.
They copy good, but they don't think, don't think deeply. They don't think deep.
This is the high ground, right?
Yeah.
So what we did was we dropped this way
Yeah.
when they had better shield damage.
We drop this
actually-
way?
Yeah, let's drop this way because then the everyone just get dynamited over and over.
Yeah.
So I think going away from them and then taking point or elephant is just gonna feel better.
My mic working?
Yes. Wait, test mic. Juxie. Yeah. Miko. Repel.
Okay.
Dante. Alright, let's go, guys. Fighting!
Fighting!
Reloading. May one.
Yeah, go.
Man. Another.
Come on.
I killed them more.
Up one.
Go.
Oh! Whoa! Jeff.
Shop online or through the HEB app to purchase your groceries today. Here, everything's better.
Being a Houston Outlaw requires Raucus to practice for 8 to 10 hours per day. And nothing is better than HEB's delicious meal simples. He eats them every day, and when he runs low, he just goes to his My HEB app, places his order, and heads to HEB. He texts HEB when he arrives, grabs his HEB order, and heads home.
Hey, I got food. I'm back, guys.
HEB Curbside, making it easy for Raucus to be a Houston Outlaw.
My name is Helen. I go by Dear, and I'm currently a translator for Team Dallas Fuel. 하나, 둘, 셋. I was born in Korea. I guess growing up, I was surrounded by a bunch of male cousins who played a lot of games. I always say that I have 8 male cousins, and my 9th was Mario. We grew up just playing a lot of games. Eventually I moved to the US. I lived most of my life in Chicago, and eventually I started to think about my career. For some reason, I landed on going to a pharmacy school. I moved to St. Louis to go to a pharmacy school for 6 years, and the only thing that kept me sane during those entire 6 years was gaming. I did it!
Kidding.
Oh my god, I did it! Pharmacy was definitely not the right path for me. It actually all started from League of Legends. I went to Worlds last year and then started translating for the media over there, and then I was looking for more experience. It was a coincidence that I found out that Dallas Fuel was actually based in Dallas, and I was already here. I reached out to Dallas Fuel saying, hey, I have a little bit of experience translating. If you happen to have a position, or if I could help you guys, and if I could learn about general management, then I would be more than happy to provide you with any kind of translation services. And they actually just went ahead and offered me a job. Working with the Fuel is so special. I honestly, when I first started, I didn't know what to expect. I always had it in the back of my mind that some of the organizations out there just think of players as plainly assets. I feel like this is such a model organization. There are so much people who are supportive of the players. There were several responsibilities that was given to me when I was first hired, making sure that the Korean players are accustomed here and they adjust well. Whenever they have a hard time, I also feel the pressure, and I feel like I'm responsible to try to fix that as well.
그때는 영어로 편하게 얘기하겠다고.
I'd like to apologize for my English skill, but I will be learning. And the next time I do the interview, it'll be a lot better, and I will be speaking English. So stay tuned. Communication issues, they're so frustrating. there's always a way to improve that, and I'm always thinking about ways to actually make it easier for them. With Gamsu, it's very different from the rest of the players because we both have dogs, so we tend to talk a lot about our dogs. The interesting thing is, we share the same dialect, and once I heard him talking Korean, I was like, instantly like, he's from my hometown. Honestly, I've never met another gamer who never cusses. Gamsu never cusses, it's crazy, but he's that kind of person.
Hi, my name is Youngjin No. My game name is Crimzo. I play main tank for Dallas Fuel.
I'm Lucas Meisner. I go by Noting Game, and I play off tank for the Dallas Fuel.
Hey, speaker. Hey, hello. Hi. You can see me? How are you, No?
I got a PC when I was 4 years old. Especially I love the Blizzard game. Like when I was like 6-7 years old, I started playing like Diablo and like Warcraft. When Overwatch came out, I was like, yeah, I really love Blizzard, so like let's try this game, and I became a pro. And like Overwatch League Season 1, I played for Team Boston, and Season 2 I played for Shanghai, and Season 3 I'm in here for Dallas Fuel.
Pretty similar entry story to Gamsu, except I also started on Boston, but I also got traded during the second season, but instead of to Shanghai, I got traded over to the Fuel. So I got on a little bit earlier, played most of the season with the Dallas Fuel, and then re-signed, and I'm now continuing to play with the Dallas Fuel for Season 3. We both got picked through the kind of long and arduous tryout process that was Season 1 Boston Uprising. Yeah, I gotta be honest, I was a pretty bad roommate at the start. I was really loud at night, but I wasn't super dirty other than leaving a few Uber Eats bags around.
Yeah, I was very clean. Sometimes I had to say, can you be quiet?
Ready to play against Houston?
Yeah, for us homestand, like a lot of fans came and they were like really hyped about us.
Yeah, there's a ton of energy to be gained and just like motivation from playing in front of a crowd that large and stuff. So it's really sad to not be able to play in front of it, but I think I'm still pretty happy that we get to play.
See ya. The 2020 Lone Star Challenge is brought to you in part by Favor, the official delivery partner of the Dallas Fuel. From your favorite Texas restaurants to everyday essentials, Favor delivers.
This is the shot. They've got one shot at this right now.
What am I watching? Get out! Come on! Somebody stop this guy! Can anybody stop them? The answer is no! I need you to get up. Get up. What is this?
Oh my, what? I'm telling you, baby! Now we have a game!
Got my chicken?
Got your chicken, dog.
Oh, the chicken?
Chicken.
What do we have here? Oh,
Chicken sandwich.
Wait, this looks good.
Another chicken sandwich. Yo, 6 feet apart. What are you doing?
Is it that please? Let's go.
You know, quarantine for me personally, it's been the same as always. I don't leave the house. There's no point.
What's up, Hydration? I haven't seen you in weeks.
You wanna see a magic trick?
Yeah.
I'm gonna disappear. You can order food. You can order Zaxby's. You don't really have to go anywhere.
I guess like the initial rivalry was because they were the other Texas team. So that's how like the rivalry started. And it's kind of like, I grew up a traditional sports fan. And like, even though I'm a Jets fan, we're still like kind of rivals with the Giants, even though they're like in the same city. I'm excited to keep my streak alive against Fuel because I've only played them 5 times.
What do you mean streak? You lost the last
I won 4 times and lost once last year. I didn't play in the last game, so I didn't
It's not a streak if you lost your last game against them.
Oh, I didn't lose.
Oh yeah, you did. I was there. I watched you lose.
Season 2?
Yep, Season 2.
I'm looking forward to keep my positive ratio to 4 wins to 1 loss against the Dallas Fuel. And most recently, Dante and Blase lost to them. I didn't get to play, unfortunately. Maybe if I got to play, we would have won, but it is what it is.
No.
Maybe we get 3-0 if you played.
Probably. We would have won 3-0. The only reason why the rivalry would feel stronger now is like when we went to the Houston homestand this week, like past, every single fan was Houston. There was like no Dallas fans, but when we went to the Dallas homestand last year, it was like half and half. It was like a lot of Houston fans and a lot of Dallas fans. So it felt like we had like way more fans.
Houston homestand was fantastic. You know, we had fans, we got a win. We might have lost one too, but we don't really keep track of that one. The fans were they're very energetic, you know. We were sitting on stage and they were very loud and like we could feel the energy in the air.
Was it all chocolate milk?
No!
Oh wait, that's cheese.
Ew!
That's actually cheese.
Woo! He's so light.
I'd say my whole life I played video games. My parents didn't want me to play too much because I had to do well in school and soccer, so I balanced them pretty well. I didn't really start hard gaming until high school. Funny story actually, on my 5th birthday, my birthday wish was to have a little brother because I wanted someone to play video games with because my parents would never play with me. I just wanted someone to game with. I started watching him when I was like 13, 14, 15, somewhere around there. A lot of times I'd be just playing video games. And once he actually flooded the bathroom, he flooded the sink, he just left the water running, and then I didn't go in the bathroom like all day. And my mom came home and she was so mad at me, and I got grounded for so long. When I first started playing PC games in high school, I actually played a game called Minecraft. I ended up having a very big YouTube channel on Minecraft. I had over 100,000 subscribers. It helped me grow on Twitch because basically I just swapped from Minecraft to Overwatch. Had to start more from the bottom, but it wasn't complete rock bottom. And from there, I worked the numbers and I eventually got pretty big on Twitch. Getting support from my parents was kind of difficult. My parents really wanted me to go to college. I was finishing up senior year. I didn't really have anything planned. I was probably just gonna go to community college. But then I actually got an offer from an Overwatch League team, San Francisco Shock. So I joined them in the first season. And my parents were really hesitant at first because I'd be moving to LA. They didn't know how legit Overwatch was or esports in general. But once I showed them the contract, it put them at ease. I've never really thought of it as a job. I just think of it as a passion. I think of it as really fun. It's just what drives me. Waking up on match day is one of the best feelings to me because when you're in front of the crowd and you win, it feels so empowering. You just feel it so happy, and it's a lot like winning in traditional sports. Like you just get really happy, and it makes you proud that you won, like in front of all your parents and stuff. Except you're winning in front of your fans, just random people that love you, and it's so awesome, and it makes us so thankful for them. I'm really excited for our Lone Star Showdown with Dallas. We have a pretty good rivalry with them. The first season, Outlaws dominated Fuel pretty hard.
Fuel take the series, Fuel take the map. Beautiful, they win the Battle of Texas.
We had a really close match with them, but I'm looking forward to the Lone Star Showdown because we have a chance to redeem ourselves, and it's all that matters.
That's so funny, dude.
Lone Star Challenge, presented by Samsung. Always gaming, always Texas. Stay connected and stay gaming with the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra 5G.
Sunday.
What?
Go to bench and just chill.
Eat?
Yeah.
And warm up.
Yeah. And nobody asked you.
Yeah. That's weird because I didn't ask you either.
If we think they'll play dive, playing the Hog Soldier Brig will just destroy them. So you kind of have to just read what they're going to play. But I think the Torb comp is the best one for first round.
Torb Bap.
Torb, Anna, Orisa.
I'm done.
Yeah? So we'll play Orisa, Torb, Anna first round. And then we have the Bastion comp as an option. we have the dive comp as an option, and then we have the anti-dive with the Roadhog as an option. Those are our 3, right? And we just try and guess what they're gonna play and pick a counter comp.
I trust Andre.
No, hydration memes, bro.
He just memes.
You know, Brandon, about it.
I like that code.
Heroes they used, and then you have to take it back.
If they use Demon, then you get Hog the next round.
He wants to do Hog Soldier break.
Hydration has a pretty good Orisa.
Wait, you want to play Orisa? Yeah, I forgot.
He's hyped down.
Hydration's actually sick in Orisa.
All right, so it's game day. We're about to get our 1v1s and 3v3s underway. We're pretty excited about this because, you know, we want to be able to showcase our players first and foremost, but also to get the opportunity to be able to pick the first maps is a pretty big deal in any kind of match. I'm super confident in our players today. I know that they're in the zone today. They're on point. I think overall, you know, we rank better pound for pound, player for player. So I think the 1v1s are going to be pretty one-sided in our favor. You know, we're probably going to take most of these games. So here's the deal, okay? You guys are absolutely the better players here, and we just need to go in there with confidence. When it's your turn, when you're up, you go into that map, you load in, you set up, and have that confidence that you're going to win it, because I know you will. We have better players, we have better decision-making, we have better mechanics, we got this, all right? Take it convincingly. Don't let up, be relentless, we got this, all right, boys?
Okay.
Oh my god, let's go.
Aim good.
Okay. I try again.
Right.
Aim good.
Aim
good. Nice play, yeah.
With heightened anticipation surrounding the kickoff of the inaugural Lone Star Challenge, both teams understand that this day is one that will remain unforgettable within the greater history of this soon-to-be storied rivalry. As game number 1 of series number 1 gets underway, it is the shoulders of Dante and Decay on which the Houston Outlaws and the Dallas Fuel, respectively, place their faith.
Entirely seriously, he's a little bit low now. If he recalls, yeah, only a little bit more health back. Dante now going to take his opportunity to recall, and again, it helps him keep the clocks fairly similar. Dante.
Eventually, it's Dallas who grabs a hold of the first point of the challenge, with Decay getting the best of Dante.
The Dallas Fuel take this one.
And soon after, it's more of the same, as Crimzo is able to give Dallas a 2-point lead with a clean 5-0 sweep over Houston's Moonlight.
There's no way you can win the Reinhardt Hammer duel after that one.
Knowing well that Dallas is just 1 point from clinching series number 1, Houston's Blase does everything in his power to win his matchup, providing the Outlaws with their first signs of life. So, both players setting up on the high ground. I don't know where Blase is going. He's riding the walls on this map. The Doom rollouts here are pretty epic. Both trying to bait us some cooldowns here. Blase faking the slam, and that's why you fake the slam.
Rising uppercuts here. Blase able to catch Doha as he tried to come in for the slam. Both get uppercuts. Doha looking for a rocket punch. Blase is able to reposition. Doha now drops to the low ground briefly. He's used his rising uppercut, so he can't come up for another few seconds. He's going to take the stairs like everybody else.
Pretty sure we've got an honor duel, no left click first life here. No, neither Doom is using it, so pretty sure that's the reason. Doha tried to come back in this one.
I mean, Doha, the rocket punch just wasn't charged up much at all. Mutual knockdowns. Both go for uppercuts. Doha low, and there it is.
With their backs still against the wall, it's the Outlaws who know, in order to stay alive, Repel will have to defeat the Dallas newcomer Crimzo if they want to take this series to a final tiebreaker map. Luckily for Houston, Repel came to play, and to have some fun.
Like a little boy. Afraid. Shaking.
Down 3-0, 5 straight rounds for Repel. I heard in the game game chat that when Repel dropped down 3-0, he said that everyone was yelling at him, and then he said, "Please be quiet." And I guess we see why he needs the silence. 5 consecutive kills on the enemy.
Oh, GG.
After the 5th and final map of the 1v1 series, it's the Dallas Fuel who walk away with the first point of the day. In the 3v3 series, it's the roommates, Blase, Raucous, and Hydration, who, in series number 2, are able to give Houston the first point.
Time ticks down. He will still have to fight over a point in the middle of the map. Choose Bionade. Chase down the stairs.
The Outlaws hold the high ground and Fuel just pushing in recklessly. I think that was a big mistake there, trying to come in on the low ground. And now Blase's got the hand there out and he's finishing off. However, that first point would be the Outlaws' only point in the series.
Remaining, Raucous going for the tactical visor here. Crimzo so low, peeked out for just a second and got taken down.
Raucous on the point.
Slept on the point. Note comes up from behind now. Blase try to heal Raucous up, but it's just Blase now, Jake. And Doha is in cannon form. And Blase couldn't step onto the point. The Fuel are going to try this one again. I mean, they can try it as much as they like. Eventually, they're going to have to switch to stronger comps if this doesn't work out. So it's going to be the Echo and the Mercy with the Roadhog, and Gamsu already gets caught. I mean, Meko can walk through the shield. Kinetic Grasp from Sigma doesn't stop the hook. It's too large.
Ooh. Aiming to finish what they started, Dallas is able to regain momentum, winning 3 straight rounds and allowing the Fuel to leave the day with 2 series wins and 2 map selections in the eventual 6v6 grand final. The Houston Outlaws wish to thank their 2020 team sponsors for anteing up. Thank you HEB, GameStop, Samsung, Zaxby's, and Zenny Gaming. The Dallas Fuel wish to thank their 2020 team sponsors, Jack in the Box, Favor, Corsair, Frontier Communications, Greyhound, Predator, and Jacklinks.
Being a Houston Outlaw requires Raucous to practice for 8 to 10 hours per day. And nothing is better than HEB's delicious meal simples. He eats them every day, and when he runs low, he just goes to his My HEB app, places his order, and heads to HEB. He texts HEB when he arrives, grabs his HEB order, and heads home.
Hey, I got food! I'm back, guys.
HEB Curbside, making it easy for Raucous to be a Houston Outlaw.
Yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with how we performed in these matches. We won both series. The first one was a little closer than I hoped it would be, but that's okay. My boys clutched up in the end, and that's what matters. So now we get to pick the first 2 maps of the series, which is a really big deal to be able to set the tone for the first 2 maps, go to play the maps that we want to play. So, you know, we're pretty happy to be able to do 2 maps. We've been talking about what ones we already want to do. You know, it's a ways out, but you know, we're pretty happy and want to make sure that we're in shape so that next time in the next set for these last 2 map picks, you know, that we can do the same thing. Yeah, winning the first game, I think definitely does help with confidence. You know, even more so, just kind of reassures that our confidence isn't unfounded. So, you know, now we get to go on to the next one, reassured. So Outlaws, we'll see you next week.
Oh, so hard.
Is that the only one today?
Yeah. We still managed to make our style work, and we had a really good game, I think. So that's okay. Just look forward to our next matches, okay?
When we guys, when we get home, have a meeting about what comps we want to try this week.
Okay.
Tonight, when we get home. Okay. But it will be short, maybe 15 minutes. Okay? Not long. Not long.
Oh, I sleep.
No, we have meeting and then Korean lesson.
20-minute nap and then 2-hour nap.
Okay. So yeah, so you can wake up at 11 p.m.
It worked pretty well yesterday.
All right, everyone that's riding with me, come on, let's go.
Nothing like some cold nibbler.
So the Houston-Dallas rivalry, I think, in my opinion, has been one of the best in the league. In 2018, the Outlaws and the Fuel had played each other 3 times over that season, and the Outlaws won each of those battles for Texas. Fast forward now to season 2 in 2019, they only played 1 time throughout the entire season, and the Fuel managed to take that match. So coming into 2020 now, you know, there's obviously this year-long rivalry now that the Outlaws want to be able to take back that crown of you know, being the sheriffs of Texas, if you will. Just recently, they played each other and went all the way to a Game 5. It was the closest match of the week. Dallas did end up taking it again. And now that we have the Lone Star Showdown going on, you know, an annual event that's being brought by these 2 teams together, they're doing exactly what esports and honestly what traditional sports should do. They're taking that competition and they're elevating it to the highest possible status. Dallas came out of the first week looking really clean, but the thing to remember is that the Outlaws are unpredictable, and what we've seen with these 1v1 and these 3v3s is just a part of the overall puzzle. Putting it all together is a whole nother challenge, and Dallas is really going to have to maintain the momentum from this to be able to capitalize on it going into the next few weeks.
The Lone Star Challenge is far from over. The rivalry between the Fuel and the Outlaws burns with growing intensity. With their next meeting just 1 week away, each team intends to make a statement. The Dallas Fuel look to reinforce their dominance, while the Houston Outlaws aim for redemption. The winning roster of each series will earn an advantage in the form of map selection for the final 6v6 battle for Texas, placing them one step closer to their ultimate goal, being crowned champions of the Lone Star State.
This is the shot. They've got one shot at this right now. What am I watching? Get out! Come on! Somebody stop this guy! Can anybody stop them? The answer is no! I need you to get up. Get up. What is this? Oh my, what? I'm telling you, baby! Now we have a game!
Thank you for tuning in to the 2020 Lone Star Challenge presented by Samsung. If you want to keep up with the action, make sure you head to your favorite team's YouTube channel, youtube.com/outlaws or youtube.com/Dallas Fuel on Monday, May 11th at 12 p.m. Central, where the two teams will be competing in a second set of challenges before they head into the May 18th Grand Final. But the action doesn't stop there. We'll be back on this station next Saturday to follow the players on their quest. Both teams would like to extend a big shout out to those that helped make this show possible. From Samsung, HEB, Favor, Jacklinks, and Zenny Gaming, to our teams and production partners at Banner TV, Heat Index, Esports Engine, and Snip Studios.
The Houston Outlaws and the Dallas Fuel wish to thank Samsung for presenting the 2020 Lone Star Challenge. Follow us over the next 3 weeks to see who is named the top Overwatch team in Texas.